deep in Montana's Crazy Mountains.
This area is changing.
There had been a lot of controversy.
A land deal, years in the making, stirs up debate.
And there's been these long-standing access challenges.
At the center, a historic swap and a familiar tug-of-war of public access versus private property.
We really need to all be advocates for our public lands.
Critics fear the public is losing too much.
Dollar for dollar, we're not getting the same deal.
But supporters say it's a breakthrough.
Permanent access in the Crazies and doing that through the construction of a trail.
And behind it all, the power of the Yellowstone Club.
I don't think we would have a consolidated land exchange without the help of the Yellowstone Club.
A deal made, a legacy question.
They're going to come at your historical water rights, and by the way, historic means nothing anymore, as which we know off the west side.
You're never going to find 100% approval on these kinds of things.
What's gained, what's lost, and what still lies ahead.
I think it's up to us to retain what we love about this place.
Welcome and thanks for joining us out here in Montana's Crazy Mountains. I'm Andrea Lutz. There is a storm brewing here figuratively and literally as a high-stakes land deal is about to take hold. This is one of the most iconic and mysterious ranges in our state. These mountains rise abruptly from the plains. Their jagged peaks, including Crazy Peak at 11,000 feet, make this one of the most dramatic sights in Montana. Equally dramatic is the Crazy Mountains' complicated checkerboard landscape.
The deal was finalized in January. The Crazy Mountain Land Exchange swaps 10 Forest Service parcels for 11 private ones, adding over 2,200 acres of public land near the Crazy Mountains in Madison Range. The Yellowstone Club, a key Montana stakeholder, called the agreement an honor to be a part of, highlighting how it unlocks and consolidates 30 miles of public land into one block and creates a new 40-mile looped trail.
The deal may be final, however, opponents are still sounding the alarm, warning it will restrict public access for generations. Longtime Montanan Brad Wilson has been very vocal about this issue. He says it's a turning point with historic trails left out and with what he says are billionaires gaining ground in the backcountry.
Give Brad Wilson a few moments.
The Crazy Mountains are, they're very sacred to many of us.
And you'll get stories for days.
Basically, I'm born and raised here in Montana, 5 generations. I probably shouldn't tell you this, but my grandfather over on the west side, he packed in for the Smith Brothers Sheep Company, and also he did a lot for the loggers over there. And doggone, I gotta tell you this, he also ran moonshine on those trails.
But those memories, Wilson says, are fading.
It's our rich man's playground, and we are not even allowed to hunt here hardly anymore. It's getting tougher and tougher.
As founder of Friends of the Crazy Mountains, he's against the land exchange.
The Crazy Mountains are going to become a commercialized mountain, which they are right now getting there.
He fears an elite Big Sky style development is creeping east.
We're losing the Sweetgrass access point, which is critical. This new trail they're proposing is not for hunters. It's for, I'm going to say it publicly, it is for mountain biking, and it's engineered as such. I know they're going to disagree with that, but you can look at the fine print and see as well.
He argues this isn't just about the trails.
You hear all these people say, we're not going to do this to develop it. Come on. These people develop everything they touch. It's all about the money. Follow the money.
Since the owners of the Yellowstone Club also bought the Crazy Mountain Ranch, Wilson says the warning signs
you just got a bunch of rich
clear.
People moving here. We were told too that they had no interest in developing this. Really? How come we got a new golf course? How come we got new buildings being built? We got new lodges being built, putting an airstrip in. You're telling me they're not going to develop this? They already are.
He looks out over the range, uneasy.
It used to be no trespassing signs. Now it says you're on surveillance.
The access fight in the Crazies echoes across our state.
And folks, we're fighting an issue that's going every day. We're losing pieces and pieces and pieces. Every day as we're talking right now, we're losing. Somebody rich is throwing gates up.
The stories of the past inspire Wilson's fight.
You know, the stories I can tell you, the bear encounters I've had with my kids and us, and the mountain goat that stuck its head in our tent, we have the deepest concern of keeping our public lands and our trails open to the public.
But it's the future he fears may be lost.
You know, how are we going to slow it down just a little, but not take rights? And I hate to even say that, but we're going to have to do something.
Part of the controversy with the land swap in the Crazy Mountains is the involvement with the Yellowstone Club. It's a private resort in Big Sky backed by billionaires and celebrities with a long history of land swap.
It was back in the 1990s, founder Tim Blickseth used Forest Service deals to acquire 100,000 acres near Big Sky. By 2015, Yellowstone Club was back, seeking more land, which sparked a broader conversation about the Crazy Mountain Land Exchange. And in 2021, Cross Harbor Capital, the club's owner, surprised many by buying up the Crazy Mountain Ranch on the west side near Clyde Park, of course expanding its private footprint near the range.
This land swap was shaped under the guidance of then Forest Service Supervisor Mary Erickson. She helped guide it through so many critical stages. She retired before it actually was finalized, but she says the deal will expand public access for generations. Now she looks back on this landmark deal with optimism.
A career spanning 4 decades.
See, I was 47 when I arrived here.
Mary Erickson's time with the U.S. Forest Service is packed with moments.
This is right after the floods, the 2022 floods.
From exploring Montana's wild corners,
A trip in the Absaroka Beartooth Wilderness.
to navigating deep-rooted disputes.
Moving from something that seems controversial and everyone's at odds to trying to resolve it always feels good to me.
But it's the Crazy Mountain Land Exchange that may leave the longest mark.
There's lands and access issues everywhere across the forest, but the Crazies was particularly challenging.
After 2 land swaps on the west and south sides, Mary turned her focus east.
When we take on a land exchange, we don't say, is this in the interest of the landowner, and therefore it's compelling. We say, is there enough public interest in this?
6 longtime family ranches anchor the east side, some with more than 100 years of history.
These are families that go back to the 1800s, they go back decades, and they have a real tie to the land.
For years, hikers had permissive access until the deal drew backlash.
Permissive use in the sweetgrass drainage, that has been permissive since the 70s. So people may be frustrated that the Forest Service didn't defend that, but that ship sailed decades ago.
Reaching an agreement wasn't easy, not for Mary, and not for those who came before her. Then came a new player, the Yellowstone Club.
They had the time then to meet with all the landowners together, to pore over maps, to go back and forth.
The result? A deal that secured public access while still benefiting private landowners.
Do you regret at all bringing the Yellowstone Club in because of what's happened now and the narrative around the Yellowstone Club?
I don't, but I've thought about it because in my mind, the Yellowstone Club came in as a partner and partnered with landowners and worked with the Forest Service to put forth a proposal.
She says public interests stayed at the center.
And there's compromise, and land exchanges by their very nature are compromises.
After 4 decades, Mary may not call this her biggest win.
Your triumph, your one, I got it done.
I don't know if there's one. I mean, probably the work on the forest plan.
But it's one she won't forget.
Land exchanges there's a lot of compromise. They're probably best judged over time.
The Yellowstone Club is a big part of this issue, and I've been reaching out to them for months, seeking an interview about the land exchange. Instead, they sent me this statement, which says in part, after years of federal review, this agreement will unlock currently inaccessible checkerboarded public lands. Through the deal, the Yellowstone Club also donated Smeller Lake, which was previously private.
Barbed wire, lock gates, even surveillance cameras. They're all allegations that stem from this 40-page 2019 federal lawsuit. It basically says that the Forest Service failed to protect 4 historic trails in the East Crazies.
This suit, filed by Friends of the Crazy Mountains and Montana backcountry hunters and anglers, argue the deal creates barriers for hunters. It says trails over a century old were long managed by the Forest Service, but years ago the agency began private talks with landowners to block access and stop maintaining public routes. They say that cost the public its prescriptive rights under Montana law. Landowners started requiring permission. Plaintiffs argue the Forest Service had an obligation to challenge that.
In the case of the East Crazies land swap, the public gave up a lot of low country, high quality, lands with high levels of biodiversity, with wildlife, with water, for the, higher country, what a lot of people refer to as the rock and ice portions of the Crazies. You can't just look at acre for acre on a map with green squares. You got to look at the quality of the habitat that is involved.
The tug of war in the Crazy Mountains seems to show up everywhere, but nowhere as much as Twin Lakes. This is a popular spot for hikers and nature lovers. However, a few years ago, a house popped up on the east shore of the lake on private land. Kagan Harsha recently went up there to see it.
Yeah, Andrew, I've been hiking up to Twin Lakes since I was a kid. One of my first backpacking trips, absolutely beautiful, about a 5-mile hike. But this last trip up there was definitely different. You get up there and this cabin certainly stands out. It's not huge, pretty small little cabin, 1 bedroom, but it's the concept, the idea about it being on that lake shore that has so many people concerned.
They tower majestically over the plains, beckoning visitors to explore.
They're one of the most rugged mountain ranges and one of the most amazing places.
But to learn exactly why so many are crazy about the Crazies, you have to get your feet dirty.
They still have that wild call and lots of stream.
My son and I hit the trail on a recent Friday. Our destination, Twin Lakes.
Twin Lakes is the very heart of the wild Crazies.
We made the 5-mile climb to see why some fear this piece of paradise may be losing some of its luster. And once we arrived, we couldn't miss it.
You can't stand at the lake and look to the left and not see it.
A 1-room log cabin perched upon the lake's east shore.
To me, it's a bummer to see the cabin up there because I was always taught, leave no trace.
Tyler Cottrell has been hiking here the last 8 years and could only watch as the forest gave way to a foundation.
The thing for me is that it takes the wild out of the wilderness.
It starts to set a precedent.
John Gatchell has watched the cabin's construction with concern. Gatchell spent his career advocating for wild places with the Montana Wilderness Association and Wild Montana.
That it's just the beginning of the erosion and the loss of the public values that are there, of the wildness of that place that makes it special.
The cabin, built on one of the Crazy Mountains' private inholdings, is the first permanent structure to be built in the heart of this wilderness. On this day, no one was home, but the cabin is owned by David Lucian, the co-founder of a private equity firm and formerly with Goldman Sachs. In 2012, Lucian purchased the Lazy K Bar Ranch at the foot of the Crazies. He also owns the infamous Switchback Ranch, one of the largest cattle ranching operations in the Northern Rockies at 160,000 acres. We repeatedly reached out to Lucian, but our calls and emails were not returned.
It used to be that it was nice, they could build a big house with a view of the mountains. And now there's this effort to possess our mountains, even a special place like the Crazy Mountains. That's not something for one person, that's something for all of us. It's a symbol of what we fear. The privatization of our wildest public lands, yeah.
Wild and also breathtakingly beautiful, smack dab in the middle of this stunning state that we all call home.
Still to come, the Crazy Mountains, a Montana treasure, and a private ranch stirring big controversy.
Ranches, not resorts.
Locals fear wealthy outsiders could change life as they know it.
Just because you have a bunch of money doesn't mean you should be allowed to ruin everybody else's time.
A community fighting to protect its land and small town values. Next.
All right, before we cut into that tooth, I need to tell you I sometimes pass out at the sight of blood. Now, if I go down...
You're better off just to wait it out.
Trust me.
You wouldn't trust just anyone with the important things in your life, so don't trust just anyone with your finances. Western Security Bank. You don't do this every day, but we do. Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
And I'm back.
America's even more beautiful when looking out the window of a Chevy. For America, by Americans. Hardin Chevrolet. Your security comes down to the people you can rely on. Mountain Alarm has been here in Billings since 1973. When you call, you're talking to someone right here in town. And we're always available, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're a full life safety company with fire protection, access control, and security cameras for commercial and residential. Local people dedicated to your security. That's Mountain Alarm in Billings.
I'm Bill Wrestling, and I've been fighting this cancer since September of 2016. I totally believe that without the palliative care team, I would not be here. Until you've gone through this, there is no words to try to explain to people what you're going through. These people know how to do it. They know how to talk to you. They manage me. They take care of me. They saved my life. I would not have made it.
Attend this year's Billings Clinic Classic and help support our growing palliative care program. Go to BillingsClinicFoundation.org.
Some things in life mix well, others don't. Mixing drugs, including drugs and alcohol, even medications your doctor has prescribed, can put you at increased risk for an overdose. Over 50% of overdose deaths involve multiple drugs. Carry naloxone and administer it if you think someone is overdosing. And always call 911 if you think someone is in danger. Help keep yourself and the people around you safe. Learn more at cdc.gov/stopoverdose.
In this corner of Montana where small town values run deep, the Crazy Mountain Ranch on the west side is reshaping the landscape. With a golf course planned, water rights are under scrutiny. It has many locals questioning what the future holds. Our Charlie Kleps has more on the impact.
The scenery speaks for itself.
Probably the best looking mountain range I can think of.
The Crazy Mountains rise between Big Timber and White Sulphur Springs, a rugged range keeping watch over much of south central Montana.
We call it our slice of heaven out here.
You can go for miles and miles, hours without seeing anybody.
Land so vast, the only true way to comprehend its beauty is from above.
I definitely err on the side of wariness.
But what's beautiful from the sky comes with tension on the ground.
It's sad, it's frustrating.
Just because you have a bunch of money doesn't mean you should be allowed to ruin everybody else's time.
The controversy centers on Crazy Mountain Ranch, a private membership-only experience operating under the same ownership as the famous Yellowstone Club in Big Sky.
Because of the amount of money they have, it's almost as if they're untouchable.
For residents like Megan Frenecki, her opinion is on full display outside of her home as guests venture to the exclusive 18,000-acre property.
Ranches, not resorts. It's to support our community and to support the ranchers.
The Crazy Mountain Ranch purchase is sparking plenty of concerns, not just over development, but also over water access and how resources are managed.
What's going to happen to all the families out here who have had these ranches for generations?
The small town of Clyde Park fears it the most.
Everybody in this community, to me, is equal, and I don't want new people. I want people to come in to also be equal.
Because we see what happened with Big Sky and Gallatin Gateway, and I think it's just a matter of time until those changes start coming out here.
Changes that many fear are inevitable.
You cannot stop people from selling their land and who they sell it to.
Clyde Park Mayor Sidney Wiley says development is not preventable.
Change happens every day.
Which is why Wiley is focused on protecting the values of her historic town, holding meetings to figure out what's most important.
My interest is in protecting the best interests of the town.
She says not all development is bad.
If you just look at it from an economic standpoint of the town itself, having a larger tax base always is helpful.
And that's not all the ranch hopes to bring. Owners say they're committed to preserving the historic and storied Marlboro Guest Ranch, keeping it rooted in tradition while also pledging to invest in the community, employing 130 locals and contributing $500,000 to Shields Valley schools.
Everybody needs money, right? But there are a lot of different ways to define richness.
Anything they want to do to invest into the town, of course I'm all for. That can't be a free pass to do whatever else they want.
Framed by rugged and tangled peaks, a community fighting back against a changing Montana landscape.
Coming up, new hope in the Crazy Mountains. This land swap is giving the Crow tribe renewed access to their sacred peak.
Includes access to Crazy Peak. That was signed as a permanent land easement.
What gives us more access to the landscape? That's what we want as Crows.
A historic agreement with deep meaning. Next.
Hey Billings, are you ready to make a positive difference in the lives of students and teachers in our community? Join Mattress King and the United Way for Operation School Supply. Drop off your donations of backpacks, notebooks, pencils, and more at any Mattress King location today through the end of August. Together, we can ensure that every child has the tools they need to succeed. Thank you for supporting the students in our community.
The Crazy Mountains hold deep spiritual meaning to the Crow tribe, home to Crazy Peak, where Chief Plentycoo had a guiding vision. Many still journey there today to fast and pray. And with this land swap changing access, the Crow tribe is watching closely. Our Haley Monaco has more on their spiritual connection.
And it goes back to the very beginning of when the Upsalagat people first came here and called this place home.
They're held in high regard.
Standing at over 11,000 feet, Crazy Peak overlooks the vast land.
The Crazies, they call that Wallachish. I mean, the crazy, it's the peak on the eastern side.
There's something about the powerful mystery of the Crazies that draws us in, and it captures our eye.
It's a sacred place, one that once fully belonged to the Crow tribe.
I don't think that, given the choice, the Crow Indians would have ever parted with the Crazy Mountains.
Now that all changed in 1868 with the signing of the Fort Laramie Treaty, reducing the tribe's land.
I think even in 2025, the Crow people understand and know that these are sacred mountains to their ancestors and to today's people as well.
Still, Crow tribal members take journeys to the peak.
There's a spring up there. You get water to help yourself.
When they can get there.
When the rich man comes in, he locks the gate and nobody's allowed.
And now, over 100 years after losing the land,
I think the Crazy Mountains have been locked up for a very long time to public access, and that's been an ongoing issue.
there's still hope because of the land swap.
Part of the Crazy Mountain land exchange includes access to Crazy Peak for the Crow Indians, and that was signed as a permanent land easement, and so I'm really proud and happy about that.
Well, it's tough because there's an assumption that we're for it or we're against it. Really what it is what gives us more access to the landscape. That's what we want as Crows.
Coming up in Montana's Crazy Mountains, gates and trail disputes have divided for years.
And anytime you've got public access through private property, you've got potential for conflict.
How quiet collaboration, not conflict, is shaping the future of the Crazies. Next.
On Montana, the issue of public access isn't just policy, it's personal. While some fight to defend trails, others fight to defend land passed down from generation to generation. For local Dale Sexton, who's also a part of the Crazy Mountain Working Group, he says it's not about conflict, it's about connection.
Across miles of lush greenery.
Yeah, I've got a lot of memories.
wildflowers, and slow winds.
It dates back to my youth, basically, when I was a young boy.
Dale Sexton's memories are rooted here.
We used to tramp all over these woods and hunting and fishing and camping. And
Now he's sharing them with his daughters.
it's about as powerful as it gets. Yeah, I get emotional about it because that's how special it is.
It's why Dale joined the Crazy Mountain Working Group to preserve public lands and the access to them.
Having the public lands is one thing, but being able to access them is a whole nother entity.
The grassroots group works to resolve land disputes without lawsuits and found success already in the Crazies here on the west side.
And there's been these long-standing access challenges. These sections 4 and 8 were removed.
A complication Erica Lighthizer knows well.
For example, from the Big Timber Canyon to the Sweetgrass Canyon, there's a line on a map, but there is no actual trail on the ground to be able to access.
If you get up in the Alpine...
Dale says that's where the conflict can arise.
And anytime you've got public access through private property, you've got potential for conflict.
Lighthizer says the new deal on the east side will open trails without conflict.
For those of us who've been on the ground and have been in the meetings and have really tried to find a community solution together, a lot of those, I mean, that's good news. That's a positive thing.
It's right here.
For Dale, it's simple. Protect what matters.
Montana has a tremendous resource in our public lands. There's not going to be a landowner that's on a whim just decides that they want to close access. That's not going to happen because of the agreement on the east side.
For him, access means legacy.
That gives me relief. That access will exist long after I'm gone, long after my daughters are gone, and it'll be there for future generations.
We do want to thank you for joining us tonight. We know that public access and private property are very important in Montana. It's an issue Montanans expect our elected officials to fight for, something many have worked hard to protect. Supporters say this land exchange secures that access, but for others, it feels like a step back from what Montanans are owed. Public lands remain a defining issue in our state and in Montana.